I just love this game so much. Oh my gosh. I love it.
I, I do too. And I have plenty of other things in my life that I should be spending time on sometimes, but I just get back to it and I miss it when I'm away.
I know. Hi, everyone, and welcome back. I invite you to grab your stylus, open up your game, and get comfortable because it's time for another Seeker's Notes chat with Catherine. We're diving into all things collections, wish list, and player strategy. So settle in and join us for a thoughtful conversation we believe every seeker will enjoy. So, hi, Catherine. It's great to dive into this topic together with you. I'm so glad that we have the opportunity to speak again. How are you?
Hey, Sunny. Hey, thank you so much for asking me back. I am doing very well and very excited to have this discussion with you today about Seeker's Notes, wish lists, and other various related topics.
Well, I love the idea of moving toward a more back and forth conversation instead of the traditional interview format. And I think, as you mentioned, it feels a lot more organic and it's almost like two players brainstorming ideas together. Um, I also really thoroughly enjoyed reading the email exchange we had over a month ago, beginning of September, about the ancient collections, which have been on players' minds for a long time. And while Mytona may already have plans for updates, it's always fun exploring what could make the game even better, and especially engaging in discussion with you. So let's talk about our wish lists, and perhaps maybe you'd like to shed some light on your strategy and what works best for you.
Well, as you and I both have said to each other and are in agreement that this is a beautiful and wonderful gift from Mytona. And I think many players don't realize how wonderful it is. And my, I will just say, of course, I can't know what's in everyone's minds or thoughts, but I might guess that sometimes people don't use their wish lists as well as they might because they might think, oh, I shouldn't ask for things, or oh, it wouldn't be nice of me to ask my friends to give me something, and something like that. And and I understand that using your wish list properly does take a lot of time, so that can be an issue too. But I personally like to think about what I usually do it by theme, and I'm at the point in the game where I'm very blessed and lucky that I have quite a bit saved up. And since I'm a guild leader, I use my collections a lot as gifts to my guild mates when they're doing very well in Magister's Path and wanting to encourage them, and also like to give collections to my friends occasionally. It's hard because we can only give 15 gifts a day, so you have to be very thoughtful about how you can manage that. And but so I just will think about, like, I'll put in the search collections that are giftable with flying time. So I put in flying time in the search, and then all the collections that will give flying time
Reward.
as a reward. Yeah, thanks. Will come up. And then the way I have mine organized for this purpose is that I have all of the collections that you can gift marked as a favorite. And that way I can check the favorite box and it'll only show me the collections that I can give to somebody, or that I can that are giftable with the green plus signs. And so then I'll look through and I'll see, like, oh, in this collection, I only have a couple items. So maybe let me put a couple of those up on my wish list. And the cool thing is about this game is that you get collection items for visiting, you get collection items randomly in chests. And of course, while you're visiting locations, you can get certain collection items. And so there's many ways that we might build them up, but I think that it's so random that it's very possible that if you have a partial collection with and you're missing a few items, there's somebody else out there who has those items, but they're missing the ones you have. And so that's one way to think about it, that when you're asking people for collection items, you're not asking them to sacrifice something that they really need. You're asking, hey, do you have an extra one of these items? Can you give it to me? If you want, if you have it. And that's the only way we can also get collection items from people is by putting them up there because they can't just well, no, that's not true. I was thinking of fixers. That's actually true with certain things that we can't send without that, but collection items people can send. So sorry, I misspoke there for a second. All right. Well, I have more to say about that, but I want to hear what you do before we keep talking with just me.
Yes, no, this is very interesting. And no, I don't mind you carrying on because I'm learning as you're speaking.
So I might start off just putting the items that I just have one of. And then
Yes.
I personally like to rotate collection items because myself, when I go through my friends what they want, if I see that they have like the same items all the time, then I feel like they're not really paying attention or using their wish list. So I don't want to do that to other people. So I like to make sure my wish lists stay pretty fresh so that my friends that are looking at what I want every day, they know that I'm paying attention and that if they gave me something. So even if I want two of an item or three of an item, I often will take it down and rotate it out as people give me it. And just like maybe over the course of a few days, I'll eventually accumulate that what I need, but I'll do it through rotating. But it's not hard and fast. I mean, sometimes I can't get on and, for a few hours or whatever, and I might accumulate a few, and that's fine.
It sounds like I do what you do. So, for example, if I'm looking for bottle of lightning, or is it the lightning bottle? I always mess it up.
Like lightning in a bottle.
Lightning in a bottle. I'll put up what I know I need and what I'm low on. So if I have one or none of something, or two or three of something, that will come one of my features. I have this one friend who is so dear to me who has never changed or updated his or her wish list. And I remember everyone's got their own game. Everyone plays how they want to play, and that's great. Um, Out of the blue, the other day, I said, "Hey, just a quick nudge, a little helpful hint that these fixtures, and they're from the ancient collections, or these collection items are not available unless you have to pay for them." And I've seen comments on Facebook in the community commenting about people having to pay multiple times for a specific item and they still don't receive it. So I said, you might want to purge your list every week or two, which is what I do. And as you've mentioned in other conversations outside of this chat, that everyone plays how they would like to play, and they do what they like to do. Um, but sometimes I feel like I really would like to help, and I want to help others do well and move forward in the game. So I try not to be too pushy with what I believe they should do to play the game, and try to help by sharing how I'm playing and how it's helping me be successful. It would be really nice to know that Gold Thread um, could appear on the wish list along.
Most
Uh,
definitely, it would be great to have access passes be something that we could just ask for instead of having to put in our names. Uh,
yes,
I think your strategy of having one fixer, I do notice that some people do that, and may or may you know this, Sunny, but people listening may or may not know that one of the reasons people do that is because it keeps you always in the active part of the list. Like when you go to give your friends gifts and you go through the send tab and you see like what your friends want, if they have all collection items that you don't have, then they kind of go way to the bottom of the list. And the friends that have collection items that you have, will stay up at the top. And so since we always can give a free fixer every day, regardless if we have them or not, just remember they are free, people.
Yes. Yes.
um, then you by keeping a fixer on your list, you do keep yourself like in an active part of the list. So that is a strategy for doing that. I
Yeah.
just don't do it because I have so many fixers at this point, and I only ever need green breeches because the antique shop is my favorite, one of my favorites, and my locations to play, and I seem to use those up the most. But
Sorry, what
yeah,
was that? Green.
I call them green brooches. They're just called brooch, but we have another one that's a brooch. So, but the access pass that is a brooch is like the emerald brooch for the antique shop.
I love your pronunciation. We call it in Canada, it's a brooch.
Oh, yeah, we could say brooch too. Yeah, I know both. I've heard it both ways.
Brooch. It's like one time you said macarons. I'm like, what's a macaron again? Oh, we call them macaroons in Canada.
Oh, you mean like the little cookies though?
Macaroons. You said
Well, I mean, there's
macarons.
two kinds, like because there's macaroons that are made from coconut, and then they come from the same route. I've looked this
Yes.
up, but then
Yes.
there's the French cookies that are gluten free. That
Macarons.
yeah, that I pronounce more like the French style just to differentiate from macaroon.
Macaron. Macaron. Macaron.
Yeah, exactly.
The Turkish coffee making thing. How do you pronounce it?
Oh, I don't know. I would love to know how to pronounce that because I keep meaning to look that up. It's
I'm
funny
gonna look
that
it up right now.
it's
Uh,
funny that you picked that out specifically because every time I see that item in the game, I'm like, oh crap, I forgot to look that up. Well, while you're looking that up, I will just also say that yeah, I think being able to have access passes that we can put in our wish list would be great. And I think, just one of my something that's just dear to my heart is to encourage people to actively use their wish lists and understand that it's a beautiful gift that Mytona gives us, and it's not something you have to feel awkward about. People can give or not as they want, and many people have lots of excess things. Like I play some locations so much trying to get like the premium gifts like the clothing store that the items that you get besides the treasure chest items, I literally have like 40 and 50 of each of those items.
oh,
And if someone wants one of those, I'm happy to give them away.
oh my goodness. Yes. Yes. Yes.
And the
Yes.
mosaic too. I play the mosaic quite a bit because I love the mosaic, and I like to try to get the clay figures and the deeds because those give like premium those collections give arrows and I'm blanking out, but another nice gift. And but you get also when you do that location, you get some other collections that I have oodles of those items because they're like one's for a thunder amulet, which I don't really ever need, and I don't know, I do give those away sometimes, but point is that you might be a player who really loves a location that you play all the time just because you love it, and maybe you've banked up a whole bunch of things. And so you have to think about it like that. If someone is putting something on their wish list, you don't have to feel like, oh, I shouldn't ask for things. I mean, this is actually how the game is designed to work. And
Yes.
if someone wants to give you it, they will, and if they don't, they won't. And you don't have to worry about it. I think that's the way I look at it anyway.
Yeah, I try not to overthink things and just, oh, geez, I can put this on my list, and if people have it, they will gift it to me. Um, And if they don't, they won't, and that's fine. And you're right about, okay, if somebody gives me this and I will then return the favor. I kind of and I don't like having to do this, but being only allowed to gift 15 collection items really, if there's anything about this game that rattles my chain, that's it for me, for Sunny. So if Sunny has to choose what really annoys her thoroughly about the game, is that limitation. And every time I complete a survey, I'm sure the Seekers Notes team know. Oh, here comes Sunny's survey. Guess what her number one comment is going to be at the very end? the limitations with the friends wish lists. I don't know, and then maybe you have a strategy, but I mean, again, as the leader of a guild, you use it for gifting or congratulating achievers in the game. I find it challenging sometimes because I have really generous friends and some friends that I don't even understand how they manage to play with other people because they have friends, their friends list is greater than 100, but I always seem to get two, sometimes three gifts from people who are just so kind and generous, and I truly appreciate them and try to reward them through the anomalous alliance. And that's another restriction that I kind of don't like as well, but we'll save that for another discussion. But I just really don't know how to put a strategy together that's fair. And what I used to do was I would gift a wish list item to someone that visited me. Then soon after discovering that there are some people that never visit, and they just don't, they will never visit. However, they will always give me an item or two from my wish list, which I find again so kind, so generous. So it's hard to put a strategy together because friends that visit every single day religiously will also send a gift. Will send me a scale or a pedal and a wish list item, or maybe two wish list items, but they don't visit. Okay, so or they do visit. Like, are you able to put a strategy together that works? And then I have a thought that I'd like to complete on this topic after I listen to your response, but I don't know how some people do it, having 50 friends.
I find, and so after people listen to us today, this might go, we might completely blow this up. But I find that the majority of my friends don't really use their wish list that much. So honestly, with 100, plus I don't have, I have more than 100 friends right now that are active, but I do actually try to keep my active friend list to about 100 because I don't like to have to leave anybody out. And
Right.
it's pretty good. It's pretty good because even though I've got a few people that are quote active, I'll check and they haven't been on the game for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And so I kind of consider them semi inactive and they're gonna go to the not get a gift today list, or I'm gonna rotate if I have like one gift left. I'll give it to someone that hasn't been on for a few weeks. Because the thing is that if people keep giving them gifts, I don't know if other people know this, you can only hold 400 gifts. So it also kind of go some gifts get pushed off the list if someone hasn't visited for a while. So,
Yeah.
anyway, so I
Interesting.
find that if people are when you go through, I don't have a tremendous amount of people that use their wish list super actively. There are a few. So during the few days that we play MP, and I have a very small guild, so that helps too. I mean, there's not that many people that I have to give a gift to, that I want to give a gift to while we're playing Magister's Path. So I'll only give like five collection items, and then I'll give a collection to two people, the two top people, and then I'll go the next day. Uh, if you've already gotten a collection from me in the guild, then the next two people on the list highest will get it. But barring that, just general gift giving, I I do try to like also hold a mental note. Like if I kind of scroll through and I see, oh, a lot of people have refreshed their list. Well, let me hold off on giving a collection item until I kind of have an overview. And then I just try to give like oh, I haven't given this person a gift in a while and they've got something that I have, so let me give it to them. I
Yes.
I never I honestly never care about if someone visited me or gave me a gift or anything. I just a long time ago I just am like, you know what? I'm just going to approach this like giving is mostly beneficial to us, and just in life I tend to be that way anyway. So
Yes.
I really don't I just don't it's just too much time. I spend way too much time on this game as it is, and it's just simpler to not worry about like if you visited me, if you've given me a gift or whatever. I mean, I do sort of notice if it becomes like, I go, man, I don't think I've seen anything from this person in a really long time. I might pay attention to that for a little bit, but it's usually not something I worry about in my strategy for giving someone a collection item.
It's interesting. Very, very interesting. I've kind of switched up my strategy with that as well. I understand, for example, I have four friends right now. Sorry, I have a total of 111. I try to keep it around 105 because you're going to have a few people that they have family obligations or an emergency and they're just not going to be around. I do have one sleeping friend, and that player is such a dedicated and consistent player and a really good friend, and I don't want to lose the player because for that reason. So I'm holding on to this one player because, as I said, they had a family tragedy and they may return to the game in another couple of weeks or maybe next year, who knows? And I'd like to keep them.
Yeah, there was a thing when I logged on. It's just only people that have been sleeping for 5 years. So I think that's a pretty extremely generous policy that if you haven't been back to the game in 5 years, you're going to be removed. And it's hard to think that anybody could really complain about that.
Exactly. Exactly.
And they did say they were going to continue to do that when I did the update this time, and I think that's extremely generous and fair. And I honestly, I keep people, sleeping players, for different reasons. If there's people that I've been friends with for a long time and all of a sudden they stop playing, it's just nostalgia sometimes. But I also tend to keep people that are rangers because I tend to want the help of rangers more hiring wise. That's what I need more. Like I don't need coins or energy. And I'm just kind of like, yeah, I mean, experience is nice. So that's kind of like my second hire if I run out of rangers. But I tend to keep sleeping friends that are rangers or of course philanthropists because I just use them for hiring.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
But but yeah, but if someone's been asleep for a really long time and I don't really have special connection to them, I will delete them as a friend just to try to keep the list a little bit more streamlined. And I think it can put people off. This will wind us back to one of your other points. It can put people off when you ask to be their friends or they look, to join up with you randomly or whatever. And then you see someone that has 200 friends or 300 friends, and you
Oh,
just know you can only visit 100 people a day and you're limited in your gifts. And then you think, well, how does that work? How can they possibly have that? And it is possible that a lot of those are sleeping and they've never ever discarded anybody. But I think it's a lot to manage. And my thinking about the limitation, the thing that you're very frustrated about, yeah, I find it odd that they will allow you to have up to 400 friends, but that you can only visit 100. And it used to be literally when I started this game 7 years ago, we could only give 5 collection items a day, which was mind-boggling. It was so crazy. And now they upped it at a certain point where we could give 15, and that was amazing. But I really think it's time to minimally allow us to give like 25 collection items because that's still a very small number. I recognize that they're trying to balance, like, not allowing us to give so much collection items that it kind of undermines the spirit of the game and what you're supposed to do to like play visit your friends and play things to collect your items. But I do think that there's a disparity in saying, well, you can have 400 friends and then say, oh, you can only visit 100 and only give 100 free gifts a day, and you can only give 15 items. Those numbers really don't like balance together in my mind. And I don't know what the optimal number is. And I personally don't know that I want to have to visit more than 100 people when I do it because it can be such a tedious thing. But, I get if you're going to allow to have 400 friends, why not at least say you could visit up to 200 people a day? And why not let us give 200 gifts or reduce the amount that you can have? But I feel like they can't do that now. 10 years of allowing 400 friends. It just seems like they're not going to back that up now. So personally, I do think the number should go. I would like to have Mytona have a conversation with us on the Facebook page about their thinking behind, like, why is this a limitation? Maybe if we understood that more, it'd be easier to accept it. But for my way of thinking, I think we should at least be able to give 25 collection items. And I think keeping it at multiples of five is important since there's 5 items in a collection.
Yeah, I hear you about the imbalance, and I would like for my Tona to make it make sense, or Seeker's Notes, make it make sense to us because it doesn't make sense to me. And, I don't like feeling, I believe that I've actually offended one or two players, and and have lost them because I might have just overlooked them because I'm so busy. Oh, this person visited me, let me go visit them really quickly, let me do this. Oh, they sent me this, let me send this back, let me, and I do my best to try and kind of balance it out, even as I said, even from players or with players that don't have a chance to visit, but they're always sending something. I do my best to return the kindness and keep the game going, to keep the algorithms moving for me, because I do believe that visiting and gifting has some effect on the algorithms of the game. I'd like to believe so. Otherwise, why are we doing it? And I've often thought that perhaps there should be a quick pick visit mechanism in the game where you can quickly pick the players that you would like to visit and the locations you'd like to visit for those players. Keep it consistent. I don't know why we would want them to be different every day, or do you understand what I mean? And then, of course, press the button and it's done in under 5 minutes. I um I have that little pet peeve in the
Mhm.
game as well.
Well, what is your strategy for how you give? I mean, it just only it's I heard you say that you do pay attention to when people have gifted you,
Yes.
but do you also just go through and look at what like you have to give and then sort of make a plan?
Well, my strategy is that I will look at who's visited me. And when you go into your friends and it shows you who's visited you, and you can just go immediately and return the visit.
Yes.
I have, out of the 15, I have 8 dedicated friends who send a wish list item every day, or at least one wish list item every day. So those 8 friends definitely get something from me. So my strategy is visit them, send them a gift, and they're definitely on my freebie list. I used to separate out that if I gave you a wish list item, you didn't get a freebie, but I try to spread the love and make sure everyone gets, my visitors that send me a wish list item also get the freebie. So they'll get 2 gifts from me in a day. And then I'll go to the ones that I know who, if not now, at some point later today, or maybe the next day or later this week, they will come and visit me. So I try, my strategy is to complete my 100 visits because, as you've mentioned before, there's so much to receive in terms of your collection items when you're visiting your friends, which again is another reason why I don't understand some people don't visit. I'm thinking they perhaps don't understand why we visit and the rewards in visiting. So, for example, I had a lovely dedicated player who I believe plays with her spouse, who had 2 items. She's one of those that almost guaranteed I'm getting something every day. Um, had 2 items from the boudoir that which I don't play much. I didn't have, and I honestly, believe it or not, Catherine, I felt, oh my goodness, I don't have anything to give her. Would let me go and play the location a few times, and use a talisman to see if I can even kind of try and force the item to appear, or at least one of the 2 items to appear. And, I played it 3 times. I'm like, okay, I don't like playing this location. So I'm going to go and visit some friends. Sure enough, at the end of my 100 visits, it showed up when I went back to visit her, and I was able to send one of the 2 items over to her. So I kind of do have a little strategy with gifting in that I want to make sure that I send a gift to all my friends, and try not to be too petty about it because, it's all again about giving, and there's such a reward in giving in and of itself, and not that it has to be compensated, but it would be nice to receive from also who you gift. But I think the fun thing is to have the opportunity to just put a strategy in place. I wish it did not consume as much time because I'd much rather be in the game playing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, I do not visit that often. That is just the truth about me. So, and everyone has to like find friends that they match with, and my friends seem to be okay with that. A few times people have left being my friend because of that, and that's okay. I mean, I read that a long time ago when I first started getting on I think Facebook or Instagram or something when people were talking about seeker's notes and somebody said, use that phrase, you have to find friends that match your style. And I thought that was a very mature and appropriate way to think about it because everybody doesn't play the game or have the same values. And so you do have to find the people that are the same. However, I find visiting to be very tedious, even though it is extremely rewarding. um, and so I do try to do it a couple times, two to five times a month if I can, but it takes up so much time.
I
So I don't.
totally agree with you. I agree with you. I,
Um, and uh, well, and oh, I love that you sometimes would try to get an item for your friend. I have done that before too, but it's a pretty frustrating thing. That's pretty amazing you manifested it. But I haven't been able to be that lucky like when I have been trying to get something for someone before and I was like, darn it, oh, I wish I could get that for that person.
yeah. I recall you mentioning, spending quite a bit of time in the game. I honestly, why I'm on another break from my guild is because I feel like when I have the time that I know I can dedicate to the Magister's path, I'm all in because I want to make sure that we're getting at least third place, at least that. I won't always win, but at least third place. So when I know that I will not have the time to dedicate to the game, I will step away from the guild and play when I can. But I just love this game so much. Oh my gosh. I
I,
love it.
I do too, and I have plenty of other things in my life that I should be spending time on sometimes, but I just get back to it and I miss it when I'm away.
I know. I had an idea. I don't know if you had an idea, but let's talk about ancient collections,
Yeah.
specifically the ones tied to the antique shop, the dressing room, and marketplace, as you detailed in your email. I really do feel that those could really use some modernization to match current game rewards. And I would think, I mean, I'm not a game designer, and perhaps Marina or someone from the team can answer this. I would think that they could just make them available to us so that we can make good use of those collections. I don't know. Your thoughts?
Oh, I have lots of thoughts. I've actually typed a lot about this on the Facebook community, but I guess again, it would be helpful to know why they might want to keep them versus just getting rid of them. But I think with either option, we should not have any collections that people have to spend money to complete. I feel like these ancient collections are from the very beginning of the game, and there were different ways that they were doing things, and they just don't fit in with the way we play now. And like for many years, the main event will go become a regular location after the first month when it was introduced. They will give us four collections that are giftable, meaning that you can ask for the items on your wish list or you can give the item if you have it to somebody else. And it's weird that we have a few locations that don't fit into that particular pattern. So I'd like it to be more streamlined. I think with the antique shop, for example, because that's the premium location I play the most and the one that I always need access passes for. I and it's disappointing because all of the collections in the antique shop are just for getting more brooches, but they're not but you can't get them unless you buy the chests with the fixers. And people will put those fixers on their lists, I
Yep.
think a lot of times not realizing that the only way really you can get those fixers is to buy the chest. And it's kind of, I don't know. I just feel like if people stopped buying the chest, that would be a big motivation to Mytona to change it. So I always advise that. But I
Do
have to admit that in the beginning, I did pay for chess because I didn't really quite understand it. And it's only 5 rubies, and I always get the rubies on at least the double, the 2 times. So a ruby is like 3 to 4 cents each. So 5 rubies, costing like 20 cents, you're just like, oh, okay, well, I'll buy a chest for 20 cents. Or even if you're getting the rubies for full price, it's still not that expensive, but it's um it's never ending though. And it just when you start thinking about it, it really doesn't fit in with the rest of the collections that we have these items that you have to buy a chest to get them. So I think what they should do is just revamp the collections for those locations. And I think that
or make
if
them available. Sorry to interrupt.
So
Do you
the
know what I
thing
mean?
about that is that those fixers are so specific to those chests. And I think the fixers should just shift to fixers that we already have, because if they made them available,
Yeah.
then we would have to have like a whole other thing of fixers. So I think that the collection should be revamped so that the fixers needed to combine the collection should be fixers and reagents that we already have in our collection, not these very specific ones that only come from the chests. But yeah, I mean, the collection items themselves could stay the same. That would be the simplest way to do it, is to
Right.
just make the fixers be fixers that we already have.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if
Yeah.
you're listening, Seeker's Notes, just a little idea.
But I also think that they could but most of the collections, it's kind of odd when you think about it, like all of the collections for the antique shop give more brooches, and I think it might be more interesting to have collections that can give other things too. So that would be my only other thought about that, is to do that. But yeah, there's like different ways that I think they could approach this. I think they have to be thoughtful about how to compensate people that might already have some of those things, but they've done things like that in the past. Like if you spent money and you have some of those fixers, maybe they would just trade them in for something else. I mean, they do that sometimes where they give us access passes in
Yes.
exchange. So like for example, since if you have fixers that go for the antique shop, maybe we would just get an emerald brooch for every one of those fixers we owned or something like that.
There's that word again, brooch. Um, Something that we never talked about that I also made note of for myself to inject into this conversation is the fact that some players might not be aware that the merchant can craft items that will allow you to earn specific items like the cotton from, I believe it's the dancer. Sometimes I get the
The
dancer
cotton is from the lady,
from
and
the
the
lady.
the dragonflies are from the dancer,
Yes. And so I'll often see
or the
that
fan. Sorry, it's the fan, the fan that becomes the dragonfly.
the fan becomes, yes. I think some players just don't know that they can do that. Have you had that experience as well?
Yes, and I'm very glad you brought this up, because this kind of goes back to like the bigger topic of what we put on our wish lists. And so we kind of talked a lot about collection items, and we touched a little bit on fixers and access passes, but then there are these other things that we could put on
Mhm.
there that I feel like we should mention briefly so people understand. So I have my game open while you were talking, so I could be clear too. So the inventor can craft a mechanical bird, and then you trade the mechanical bird with the lady to make cotton. And you can also craft a fan from the inventor, and then you trade with the dancer to make dragonflies. And so the cotton and the dragonflies are required to combine some collections. These cost quite a bit of resources if you just make them. They cost time, they cost all the magic stones, and they cost coin. Like I've got it open in the mechanical bird uses one of each of the magic stones, uh, the magic fire, the philosopher's stone, and the crystal of secrets. And then it also costs 1,350 coins just to make one. So, my feeling about those, yes, the only way you can get someone to give you one of those items is for you to put it on your wish list because we can't just send them to people. And just as a sidebar, do note that it comes out of your inventory if you give those items to someone, and it also counts against your 100 free gifts you're allowed to give every day.
Correct.
So if somebody is asking for a dragonfly or a cotton, they are asking you to give something that you've spent resources on, and you could potentially give them an additional free gift and this gift that costs you something. So I almost never give these because I feel like people need to know that they need to be combining and crafting, and that's part of the game and trading, and then I do understand though that if you're a new player or if you haven't been playing very long, you don't have as many resources built up, and sometimes you need to combine something for a quest to move your game along, and you might feel like, oh, please, can someone just give me some cotton? And that's fine. But so I don't mind if people ask for it occasionally, but I do mind if it's like a constant permanent relic, not a relic, but just a fixture on their wish list that that's all they have on there. And that's I think what you're talking about.
Correct.
And along those lines, I mean, people will can ask for things that the other merchants can make. And it's the same exact thing. And you have the ability to make these things yourself. And yes, they do use resources, but
That's the purpose of the game.
exactly. And there's lots of ways to do it. I mean, there's you can use different talismans to speed up and to reduce the resources, and it's just part of like learning how to do the game more and so forth. Yeah, so and then there's another piece of that we didn't talk about at all, which is that you can put artifact fixers, which are really rare. And I just always wonder why people put those up. And that there's four artifact fixtures: is the chain, the silk ribbon, the lace ribbon, and the cobweb. And these are you get those every time you combine a collection. And you don't combine artifacts very often. So you might look at your inventory and think, oh, I only have, 100 of those and I have thousands of others. But the thing is that you don't combine artifacts enough to really need to have a whole lot of those. So it's really a waste of your precious wish
Yes.
list space to clog it up with asking for an artifact fixer, because every time you combine a collection, you get an artifact fixer. And
Correct.
again, maybe you have an emergency, maybe you have a guardian quest where you need to combine an artifact, and maybe you're short of something for whatever reason. So occasionally asking for it, I don't have a problem with that, but I just see that people put a lot of these items up there and then they just never ever change their wish lists, and it's just like it might as well just not have anything there.
And I feel that it's likely because they don't know how or they don't understand why and just probably needs to be enlightened here as we're discussing that here are some tips on how to optimize your wish list so you can get the best use out of it so you can have this advantage in the game. I think it's an advantage.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, so I think it is, there's a lot in this game, and that's what I often tell people about why I love it so much, because you can play the game, just go and search for items and have some fun. And then you can start adding in like, guilds and visiting and all the different things. And that's what makes it fun for me, is because there are so many layers and parts to it, and it's not something that everything is just right there for you from the first day. It's part of like the quest, almost like it's kind of meta to say, but it's a hidden object game, but there's a lot of things that are hidden in the game that you find as you go, and that's very satisfying.
Exactly. Yep.
But yeah, but you can just enjoy this game at just any level that works within your budget, your time budget, and your money budget, and there's lots of joy to be had from it. But I do think that knowing and understanding some of the parts of it, like using the wish list, is important to get the most out of the game, which is why we're spending so much time talking to you about it today.
Exactly. Which leads me to, I would like to talk about the storyline and the side quests, but before we go there, let's discuss how players can open up the tabs and how to get best use or how to use the tabs when sending gifts.
Yeah.
What's your strategy?
So, well, just instructively, I mean, you can send when you visit someone, if they have items in their wish list from when you're visiting their map, their wish list is up above, and you can send them items directly from there. But I almost never do that because I like to be able to look at all of the things that people are asking for as a whole,
Yes.
um, as far as giving collection items. So how you do that is, I don't know the name of this icon, but I think it's called the Friends icon. Right now, it's decorated for Halloween with two people with witches hats on, and it's right to the left of your Guardian Quest scroll icon. So when you tap that circle, three things pop up, and the far right one has a gift icon. And so if you touch the gift icon, you then get a window that opens up that has four tabs. And one tab says mine, one tab says friends wishes, one tab says send, and one tab says collection. So the mine tab will show any gifts that you have that your friend has sent you for you to collect and accept. The second tab, the friends wishes, that's where you see all of your friends, um, that you can scroll through all the pages and see what is on their wish list. And that's what you and I have been talking about the most today, is going through your friends' wish lists and sending. And if you look on that list, if there's a fixer that someone has on their list, like a raspberry or a forget me not, you will see a green arrow, but you won't see any numbers underneath. And that's because you can send one free fixer every day, or you can send an access pass instead, and that is does not come out of your inventory. It's a gift that Mytona gives us, and I always like to send those 100 every day, because I always think if I miss out on doing that, then I've lost an opportunity that Mytona has given us, because starting at midnight, that's when it resets in your own time zone. um, you will get the opportunity to send 100 free gifts a
Yes.
day, and then whether you've done it or not, when midnight hits, it resets, and then you can do it again.
Yes.
So yeah, so you don't see any numbers because you can do one, and then you see, like, if you send somebody one of those gifts and then you try to send them another one, you'll get a little window that says you can only send one per day. And then, but if you see other items like we were just talking about, like items that you could craft, like a paper clip or a colored ribbon or cotton or any of those things from the merchants, you see how many of those are in your inventory as well as a green arrow, because you can give those to your friends, but they come out of your inventory. They do count against your 100 gifts, but Mytona does not limit how many you can give. So that can be misleading if you don't realize that you've like given up a lot of your 100 gifts to give one person like a couple cottons and a paper clip or something like that. So, and then if you see collection items that have a green arrow, they will also have a number next to them, and that shows how many you have in your inventory. And you can, if you're interested, you can touch the item and it tells you the name of it and where it can be found. Then, if you want more information, you could take the name of the item or the collection and go to your chest and research it a little bit more, but or in the collection tab. But anyway, just going through and scrolling through what your friends are asking for, this is how you can start to send them gifts every day, send them fixtures they're asking for, send them a collection item they want if you have extra, and you can send up to 15 collection items per day. Um, then the next tab is the send tab, and the send tab has all of the fixers in the order. I don't know what we call it, just the order that Mytona put them in. And your ability to send a fixer, it what's unlocked for you to send is in this tab is based on your level in the game. So if you have any of these fixers with a little bar over them that says like you have to reach this level, then it'll become unlocked to be able to send when you get there. um, just a reminder, the fixers are above the access passes. So if you have, say, like the red diamond, the screw nut bracelet, the glowing flower, and the silver bird are still locked, but keep scrolling past those because then you'll get to gold thread, lantern, theater ticket, and so forth. And then I don't know if people realize that from this tab, they can send fixers and access passes to people. And again, this is a stylistic choice. I'd be interested to see your opinion about this, but I personally think that unless someone's asking for a specific fixer, I think it's better to send access passes, and especially access passes that people really seem to want the most of, like thread and tickets, raindrops, investigators badges. These are some of the most popular things people ask for because they like those locations. I think because we use up access passes so much, these are the more valuable daily gifts unless someone's asking for them, especially for long-term players, because once you've been playing a while, you really start to amass quite a bit of fixers. And I do have a pet peeve. I have this one person on my list. I don't think she speaks English. I've tried talking to her about it in an anonymous alliance. She sends me tar every day, and I literally have, I'm going to tell you,
5,000? I've got like
yeah, I mean, tar, we start out earning thread, resin, tar, and petal. And even if we don't, you might look and say, well, I don't have that many petal and scale, but you also don't need them as much as you go. But anyway, I have 4,233 tars, so I really don't need another tar, but I would very much like I'd like to have her send me a green brooch. And I think sometimes that people don't know that these are free. So that's the other thing, is they might be hesitant to give like a higher fixer or a higher access pass because they might look at their collection and think, oh, well, I only have, 100 of those. I can't give up one of those, but they are free. You can give one free per day. And then the last tab, the collection, is where you can look at all the collections and send collection items directly. And sometimes it's helpful, like if I see someone's wish list and they want, like, say they want the shuttlecock. And so I look at that and I could either put that in or sports equipment, either of those ways. When I go to the collection, I'll enter either the name of the item or the collection. And then when it comes up, it shows me like everything I have. Do I have that collection complete? And sometimes, I mean, at this point, I know what a lot of the collections give or do because I've been playing long enough, but you can get out of this tab and go to your chest to research that if you want to know, like, well, what does this collection actually give? And then you can see like, oh, well, I have three shuttlecocks and I have two of all the other balls in the sports equipment collection. So yeah, I could give away one shuttlecock because it's kind of an excess one and I'd still have enough to combine this collection if I needed it or to give a collection away to somebody. So that's how I kind of do it every day. I I go through my friends' wish list, then I go to the send tab and I try every day to use up all 15 collection items and all 100 free gifts because they're all, well, the collection items aren't free, but I feel like it's a thing that Mytona gives us and it refreshes every day. So I kind of hate to go to sleep at night without having used them up.
Exactly. I think you and many other players might play the same way. I do the exact same thing. And I've got a few friends who are that thoughtful in that if they see that I desire a specific item and they might not have that specific item from that specific collection, they'll give me the next over or one within that collection, which is really kind of thoughtful. And so I really appreciate players that, spend the time to do that. Um, I've done it a few times myself, not very often, but a few times. So that's a really interesting strategy, especially when you want to gift something that to that specific person for whatever reason. Which is why, and I won't get too deep into anomalous alliance, but when I know, for example, when I have a that consistent friend that keeps coming daily to visit and to send a wish list item, and I don't have something on their list and I can't get it at all, I will send a precise arrow if we're at that stage in the Anomalous Alliance event. Or something kind of nice that I know will really help them when they're playing the puzzles, like the glove or the other double arrows, I believe it is. I don't remember the name specifically right now.
Double rocket, yeah.
Yeah, double rocket. So that's great. I'll see if I can put together a visual for viewers to look at where to find the tabs that you're talking about and how to access everyone's wish list or those who have one. I've got some players that don't have a wish list, not a single thing on their wish list, nothing, zero. And they
Again,
send me every day.
yeah, and I think, I get it. There's different reasons. So I named one already, which is that I think people feel awkward or like they shouldn't ask for things, which I would definitely say, don't think that because that's not the game is designed for us to do that. But I think other people who have been playing a really long time, they may just not have a wish list because they feel like, I don't really need anything. I've got so many collection items, so many fixers, so many access passes, and that's fine. I mean, obviously you can do it however you want, but I just think it's a nice, cool thing that Mytona gives us, and I think it's good. I mean, if you choose not to do it, that's obviously your choice, but yeah. You made me, I was going through this list of things. Oh, I did want to say, my recommendation is if to send fixers more than, I'm sorry, send access passes more than fixers, but I will say that if you have players on that are friends that are newer to the game and they haven't advanced very far, then chances are they haven't opened up the ability for like the red diamonds and the glowing flowers and so forth to drop during gameplay. And in another podcast, we'll talk about that particular process. But that's another thing I will do as well is like sometimes I'll give most people some access passes, but I'll save like for the players that are below level 100, for example, that are on my friends list. And instead, I'll send them red diamonds or silver birds or something like that because I figure that they probably don't have those available yet. And that's good for a way for them to build up those fixers as well.
I think I saw somebody post on Facebook in the community that they had completed the storyline. Um, that's very interesting. I would love to get a hold of that individual. I'll see if I can go back and find that post.
Oh, I think many people have definitely.
Really?
Yeah, because you'll see people posting that they're waiting for the old location. Like we had the nursery last month, and then as soon as the nursery becomes like a regular location, then Mytona will have four collections that will have quests. But as
Right.
soon as they do all the quests, they get there's 20 quests because each one has the five items, then they've caught up. and then they have to wait for the next new location next month before they can get their new quest because they're caught up in the book.
I'm looking forward to that time in the game. I cannot wait.
don't know.
Um,
I don't know how I feel about it. I'm far from it. But what I do find frustrating is that I have sometimes I only have one quest available on the left, and then I'm playing Darkwood Cup or Monstrous Path. They're doing the same thing, and they'll say, complete 12 quests, and I'll just be like, there's no way.
I can't
There's
do
no way
that.
I can do 12 quests. Well, I mean, now I can because with the main event, then there's quests to do. But by the time we get Darkwood Cup, I'm usually done with the main event, and I have like one quest available on the left-hand side, and I'm just like, how am I going to do 12 quests? So,
Right. This has been a lot of fun. I don't know if you have anything else to add as we wrap up, but I truly would hope that all players of the game will find something to take away from this conversation because I know both you and I talk often about wanting to be able to help as many people as possible, or at least will appreciate receiving some tips on how best to play the game. And I hope that Seeker's Notes and the community that's viewing or listening to this podcast will be able to chime in on how best to utilize their wish list and visiting friends and so on and so forth. But I am hoping to see some positive change in the very, very near future.
sure. I did look over my list of things that we had kind of made points of ahead of time. And I think the only thing I didn't mention was just that I kind of said it briefly when I was going through the tabs, but if you leave your wish list with the same items too long, then I just kind of start ignoring it and scroll past that. So I just think it's just something to think about, to not, just leave your wish list sort of static, but to try to update it as much as you can. I guess we had talked about that, but just reminding people again with all the different tips we have for using your wish list is to keep it fresh. If someone gives you an item, and you have enough of those items, that's what I wonder. Like, I have a member in my guild, and she'll literally leave it up there for like 6 months, and I'll think, wow, in 6 months you surely have collected, about 100 of those items.
Oh yes, the pronunciation of the C-E-Z or Z, depending on where you're from, V-E-C-E-Z-V-E is Jesvi.
Jesvi, thank you very much. Wow,
Yep.
I would never have gotten that on my own.
There might be variations of it, but I'm seeing a J, Jesvi, or it could be Jezve, but
Jesvi.
Jesvi is what I'm
That,
seeing here.
that is super helpful. That is super helpful. It's definitely a fabulous little part about this game is the way you increase your vocabulary, and there'll definitely be items, and I'll have to go look up like, what is that? What is that?
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I've learned so much. Well,
So,
Catherine, it's been wonderful talking with you again. I know that we have a lot more to discuss, and I'm hoping that people in the community will find this to be helpful. Do you have any last words or comments or anything you'd
oh,
like?
just again, big shout out to you for inviting me on, and that I am excited that we're going to move forward with doing more discussions about some of our favorite topics within Seekers Notes, especially making podcasts that will hopefully be helpful for people, because that's always my hope too, just like you, that what we do is going to help people enjoy, love the game more.
Exactly, me too. I'm hoping to maybe even talk about the nursery room and Dracula's castle. Also, the controversial new treasure box. I'm thankful to you for your insight and some of the wonderful things you're doing in the community, and all the best to you and your guild.
Thank you so much, Sunny. Until we meet again.
Till we
Bye.
meet again, take care. Bye bye.